So the first one is quite obvious, I think, add rich media. I'm quite a visual person. When I see my feed, the first thing that pops into my eye are photos, are videos, are links, and not just the text. So if you add rich media, it's much more likely that your post will be seen and that your post will be read. Tag relevant people or companies. And the emphasis here is on relevant. For example, if you would post about this webinar, you could tag me, Ezem or Henewa. You could also tag the BGLU as a company, and through that gain more reach as well. You can also include hashtags, which is probably the best way of gaining more reach. Because, for example, if you include a hashtag like recruiting, you potentially reach all the people, or not, you potentially reach some of the people who are following that hashtag. So if 2 million people are following the hashtag recruiting, you might reach some of them on their feed as well. Don't overdo it though, like 2 to 3 hashtags is like the best midway. Too many, that might seem spammy, and also, like, from what I've heard from the algorithm, you don't show up that high in the feed then anymore if you include like 15 hashtags. And we also generally give their advice, the more niche the hashtags are, the higher the likelihood that it will actually show up on the feed of someone who follows that hashtag. So for example, today, if you would post about this webinar, include the hashtag rock your profile or Lawyers UK, something like this. And last but not least, I didn't go into articles that much, but feel free to contact me afterwards to ask about it. Articles, we recommend a length between 600 and 1,000 words. As I said, it's more like in-depth matters where you have experience in, but that's not like a must on LinkedIn that you share articles, so don't be worried about that. And yes, with that, I hand back over to Ezem.
Perfect. So moving on to how you can get some inspiration out from your feed, and really tailoring it to the type of audience and the type of information that you want to receive. So next slide. So one of the key things that you may notice on LinkedIn is that there are some people that you can't connect to, and for 2 reasons. They may have already too many connections, and so it will ask you to enter in your email address. But the other thing that you can do is follow them. So if they've enabled their profile to be public, you can still follow them to get updates from them as well. So for instance, you know, I don't necessarily know Satya Nadella, and he's the CEO at Microsoft. However, he does share some really great content on a regular basis, and he's somebody that I really love to hear from. And so whilst I probably wouldn't connect with him, or he may not have time to connect with me, I can follow him and get all of his content. So from that perspective, you can explore people you are interested in and content they post on the platform by following them still. Next slide. And then the other thing that I always encourage people to do is follow companies as well. Quite often companies will put regular announcements on their platforms, whether it's, you know, changes as a business, or maybe they're looking to expand and create a number of roles, XYZ. It's always just good to know what is going on with companies that you're really interested in, and then also engage with them as well. And then just as a little top tip, as a recruiter, when I'm looking for people in the background, say for instance for LinkedIn, it does also let me know who is already following LinkedIn and who isn't. So for me, it's kind of, if you are following LinkedIn already, it gives me the impression that you're actually engaged in the organization and not just the role itself. So I definitely encourage you to engage with organizations that you are interested in working with for the future. Next. And then just a bit more of a deep dive on the hashtags that Gabby was speaking about before. This is quite a new feature, or one that I have discovered more so this year, in terms of following hashtags and not just people. So you can just type into the search bar any hashtag for topics that you are particularly interested in. For me, one of my big topics is diversity. So I follow a lot of diversity hashtags so that all of those content will come up in my feed. I can engage with it, like, comment, share, and just kind of build my network out that way as well. So I definitely encourage you to explore hashtags you're interested in working working for by searching for them in the search bar. If you use hashtags, your content might be seen by other people who are following that hashtag as well. So remember to always add hashtags that are relevant to you and what you're speaking about in your post as well. And then just to kind of finish off on that point, is sort of the news feed. So as your network grows and your hashtag that you follow and anyone that you're following, as that grows, you will start to get a lot of content in your feed. And like most things on LinkedIn and for your profile, you can edit exactly what you want to see on your news feed. And if you've been tagged in something, or there's something that you've commented on and then 100 more people want to comment and like and share, you may not want to get pings all the time about that particular content. So what you can do is, if you go onto that particular content, there's three little buttons at the top, and when you click on that, it gives you options as to what you can do with that type of content, and the algorithm will pick up on that, and so it will start to show you less of particular topics that you're muting, or that you're trying to remove from your feed. And so it will just help you to really improve your feed and the content that you can engage in a little bit better. Cool. So moving on to the next slide. So just to kind of close things out. So there are 3 key takeaways from today's session that we'd love you to go away with. And the first one is, your profile is your story. Your profile is how you can really reflect your professional brand. It's the window to, it's your shop window to your career. And so making sure that it's really reflecting what you've done, your achievements, what your aspirations are, is super important. There's no experience that isn't a teachable experience, and so there's something that you've taken out from voluntary experience, as well as maybe paid experience or internships. Definitely make sure to add those onto your profile and showcase your skills that you've taken away from them. And then building your network is so important. I think that for me has been my biggest takeaway from LinkedIn, just connecting with people that I may not have been able to connect with in real life, and actually seeing how those networks materialize into opportunities, not just for career, but for general other things that I'm interested in. And then customizing your feed as well, so that you don't feel overwhelmed by the content that is being shared, and it's more tailored to what you're looking for, and you're able to engage with it a lot more as well. Lovely. And so we're going to move to the Q&A section, if that's okay now.
So we've had one person ask if you could go over the 3 W's in terms of the bio for LinkedIn. So that's to Gabby. Yeah.
Oh, you mean like for the summary, like the 3 parts? Yeah. So my recommendation, but honestly, look on inspiration for other people's summary as well. But mine would be 3 paragraphs. The first one: who are you? Like, I'm Gabby, I'm a marketing professional with 7 years experience. I love connecting to people. The second one is your experience of what you do. I have worked in many countries in the industry and this and that jobs. And currently my role is brand marketing for LinkedIn. And then as a third one, like, what do you want to achieve? That can be personal, what do you want to achieve in your career? Or if you are looking at it from being a freelancer or from a business, that might be like how you can help your customers or a person who's looking at your profile. So who are you? what do you do and what do you want to achieve. I don't know, Adam, if you have a different take on this. As we say, it's like there's no right or wrong.
No, I think mine is in a similar format, to be honest. And if you're stuck for, you know, kind of starting off and putting pen to paper, have a read of anybody else's on LinkedIn. You know, as long as you don't copy and paste it verbatim, then you should be fine. But yeah, I've done that before, just kind of looking at other people's and thinking, oh, okay, I like how they've, you know, laid it out. And one of the things I would say as well is maybe talking first person. I think when I read the bios and it's in third person, it makes me think, okay, is this really you, or is this someone else's perception of you? So I think when you make it first person, it just really brings it home and makes it more personal to you. So yeah, but it's really good to have one for sure.
Someone has also asked, should we share personal information like a hobby to seem more authentic?
I haven't done that on LinkedIn. There isn't necessarily a hobby section. I think if things that are hobbies are maybe volunteering things, then definitely add that to that. So I think anything that is enabling you to expand your skill set, develop yourself, if you class that as a hobby, then have it on there, because it's still something that someone may reach out to you about. But if you just want to put your general hobbies, I don't know, some people do, but I haven't.
I think it like sometimes it can actually add a little bit like to your personality and show who you are. And I don't mean like listing your hobbies, but
yeah.
For example, in the summary, if in the first section of who you are, if you say like, I'm passionate about coffee. So if you are ever in the city and want to know like best coffee dates, it's not a professional thing as such, but I think in the summary, you can add a little nice note on who you are. Just don't go too much into it. That would be my advice.
Yeah.
And I think authenticity can be subjective as well. So depending on how you see yourself, obviously there's a general standard of professionalism that we all sort of adhere to. Another person's asked, how do they control their feed? Because they feel like they're inundated with so many like information that they don't feel is relevant to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we went over that in, I think it was maybe 3 slides up. Gabby, if we maybe go back to that slide. And so basically, to control your feed, it's something you have to do bit by bit. Is it 3 slides? Yeah. So, so when you start to see certain content that is irrelevant to you, then just click on that content. And then in the right-hand corner of that content, you've got the 3 dots. And so you've then got options there. So you can unfollow this person. So when you unfollow them, it doesn't stop them being your connection, but it stops their content being shared in case it's someone that maybe spams too much or shares content that isn't as relevant. You can report the post, or you can just hide the post. And if you click on improve your feed, then it will start, you can see sort of how the algorithms are working and what sort of things you can do to pull things up in the ranks as well. So yeah, that's how you can start to improve your feed. And it's the more you do it, the more it will recognize the type of things that you're more interested in.
Thank you. And we do have one question. What's the difference between a connection and a follow? Would a follow just be because you wanted the content that someone shares on LinkedIn, or connection allows you to communicate directly with them?
Yeah, that's the key difference really. So someone that you're just following, because you're not connected with them, you can't necessarily send them an email or, you know, message them privately. But if you are connected with somebody, then you can message them privately as well as see their content, engage with it, and the rest of it. So that's the key difference.
Yeah, and vice versa as well. So if you follow someone, they won't see your content. But if you connect with them, they can also see your content.
Yeah.
Okay. Can people see if you unfollow them? Which is a question that we all want to.
There is no pop-up. So there is no pop-up that's saying like this person no, actually no. They can't. Like I can look at who's following me, for example. So if I go into my connections, I can see who my followers are. But I would actually need to go through like 1,500 connections to see if that one particular person is following me. And I don't know anybody who's done that.
Yeah.
I think another thing that's become quite popular on LinkedIn is people talk about unwanted emails or in-mails from people, which is like LinkedIn's not a dating site. What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, unfortunately, this can happen anywhere, and we're aware of that. We can only encourage you, if you get something like this, to you can first block the person, but what we actually encourage you is to actually like oh, how do you say in English? Report, like you report that person and that content, and then our security and trust team will have a look into that. And sometimes if people do that, that it's probably not just one person they're doing it to, so they can actually be blocked, be removed from the platform, get a warning. So please do report it if you encounter anything like this, because that's not what the platform is for, and that's not what we want.
Yeah.
Definitely. Someone wants to know, is there a limit to how many people you can connect with on LinkedIn?
There is, but
Yeah.
what happens is after I don't know the limit for now, but after a while it will ask people to input your email address. So say for instance, if I was going to connect with Gabby and she's got 15,000 connections already, it will prompt me to input an email address that she uses for LinkedIn to actually show that I know her as a person. So it doesn't stop you from, there isn't like a limit on how many people you can connect with, but after a while, if you do have a lot of connections, ask me questions to put your email in.
Thank you so much. Someone wants to know, does a person get notified if you remove them as a connection? I'm not sure, I think you answered that, but if you could just repeat it for us.
Yeah, it's sort of the same as with like if you unfollow them. So you can unfollow them, then you don't see their content anymore, but you stay a connection with them, or you can actually remove the connection. In both instances, they won't receive a notification or anything, but if they specifically look out for if they are still connected to you, or if you're still following them and they go through all their contacts, then they would be able to see it. I don't think it will still say first connection.
Yeah. Also, is there best practice for profile pictures? Because I've sort of seen almost everything, and you never know which one to sort of pick, like plain background, something like creative.
Well, there are best practices, but as we said, like it's your story, however you want to represent yourself. For example, I have friends who work in the creative industry, and their profile picture, they have actually sort of like designed it themselves. So they created an art version of themselves, which fits to their profession, but that might not fit to a lawyer, for example. If you are required to wear like a tie and be quite formal in your job, then maybe this is your profile picture. If you're more in marketing, or you're an entertainer, outgoing person, then you might have a more colorful, funny picture. The only thing that I would say don't do is like don't have other people on it. So it should just be you, unless you are professional, a dog walker or something, maybe not that much with animals, not with a glass of wine in your hand, unless you're a wine connoisseur. Things like that.
Now we have a very interesting question. So what do you do if you want to like let people know you're available for work, but you don't want your manager, who unfortunately is on your LinkedIn connection, to know you're looking for a new job? And hopefully your colleagues can keep it to themselves as well.
Yeah, so so you have got options. So when you before you click to when you set up your interest when you're looking for a new job, you can make it available to just recruiters. And the added sort of security thing for that for you is that only recruiters outside of your organization can see it. So if recruiters or HR teams in your organization have access to Recruiter, they won't be able to see that you are open to new opportunity, but someone like myself would. So that protects you in that sense. And so unless you're sharing it publicly, where you then get that green half circle, then yes, everybody in your contact will be able to see that you are open to new opportunities. So I think that person maybe asked, shall I block my manager or something? Yeah, that's probably That's probably the only way they would not be able to see it. If you've made it public, then everyone on your contacts will be able to see it. So yeah.
And thank you. I probably, for me, I think during quarantine had experienced the best of LinkedIn. So I've connected with someone and it's expanded my network quite greatly. And even using my own personal profile, I was connected by the HR department of a law firm, and I was invited personally to an induction day. So I do think that when you do personalize your LinkedIn profile, it has a lot of benefits, and you don't even realize that a lot of people actually notice.
Yeah.
I don't know if you just cut off, Ohenewa, or if that was the end of the sentence.
I think she's cut off.
Ooh.
I think she might be frozen.
Okay.
Sorry. Just like 2020, the connection's unstable. No, yeah, I benefit definitely from LinkedIn in terms of my network being widened. I've gotten a personal invitation from an HR department from a law firm, a major law firm, to come to their event, recruiting event. So I personally have experienced the benefit of LinkedIn, definitely. Do you guys have any like no-nos when it comes to posting stuff? Like, have you ever read something you've just like, oh my God, I can't believe this person just posted this?
I think for me personally, it's when people share really, I guess LinkedIn is very different to other social platforms. It's not Instagram, it's not Facebook, it's not Snapchat. It's very professional, right? So I think sometimes I do see things, I think, you know, these people probably don't have those other platforms, so now they're trying to use LinkedIn as that. It can get a bit too personal, and I think from that perspective, that's the kind of thing where I'm like, oh, not quite appropriate. But yeah.
I mean, also think about if you're a professional, do you really, like, what do you want your colleagues and boss to see? What like could like potentially put somebody off hiring you? Like we had once a girl who on Instagram, she got really a lot of likes for this thing where she was sort of walking into the shower from the back, like you could only see her back, and she was reciting a poem, got a lot of likes, and then she posted that on LinkedIn as well. I was like, that's just not the professional context that you want on the platform. I mean, they're always like, think about yourself. What do you think is appropriate?
So what about political stuff? So someone's asked, what about Black Lives Matter, which has been quite a political movement. For me personally, I noticed it started off with like one person, there was a trickle effect and more people felt comfortable talking about it. But in general, what do you think about, I guess, things that you'd call activism or I guess political statements on LinkedIn, or is that like a personal preference?
Personally, I think that's a personal preference, and the things that impact us, such as the Black Lives Matter movement, also trickles into the workplace. So, you know, I think it depends on how you're sharing that content, but it's still relevant from a professional perspective to share, you know, your experiences in the workplace or how things are impacting you in the workplace that's going on around us. So yeah, I think that in particular is not something that I'd say, oh, don't share. But if you're not comfortable sharing about it, then don't. And if you are comfortable, then again, just remember what audience you're sharing it to. You're sharing it to a professional audience. So think about how you write the content or what you share about it.
Yeah, I think that's important. Like, what do you actually share about it? Is it actually a thought through argument, discussion about like a certain law that should be coming into place or not? Or is it just something saying like, I support this party? So there's a difference, yeah.
I was also wondering, I think LinkedIn has a feature where if someone looks at your profile, you can actually find out who is able to look at it. Or I think there's a private setting as well, which sometimes I'm just like, oh, I want to know who looked at it. Is there a way to overcome that privacy setting? No?
If someone set theirs to private, then it stays private. Yeah.
Right, thank you very much. I think we've got about 8 minutes left. So if anyone wants to ask any more questions, please do let us know in the chat box below.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we would also really appreciate it if you give us some feedback on this session, if it was helpful for you, what you really liked, what we could do better. And you can easily do that by just going in your browser on slido.com and then enter the code hashtag BGLU RYP and complete a short survey, which is about 2 to 3 minutes. Literally, I think it's 8 questions roughly. That would really help us to scale this Rock Your Profile program and make it better in the future.
We've got 2 questions. One person wants to know, how do you find relevant roles within LinkedIn?
Yeah, so if you go onto the platform, whether it's on your mobile or on the website, you'll see the jobs icon, or you'll see the jobs there itself. And when you click on that, then you can filter through the search, the search options, and then you can save that search so that next time you come back, you can go straight to it, or you can use that search to create an alert that will just come straight into your inbox. And so that's how you can sort of filter through the jobs that are out there as well.
Thank you. We've got a few more, so hopefully we can run through it quickly. Someone said, how can they make sure that someone else doesn't know that they're viewing their profile? Like, how can they set, I think, their LinkedIn on private?
I don't know how to do that, but I think if you Google it, or Gabby, I don't know if you know how to do it.
I can't tell you every step, but it's in the privacy settings. So if you go to your account and into the settings, one of the things will be saying like privacy settings, and in there, I don't know if it's number 2, 3, or 4, you can actually like who can see that you looked at their profile.
Yeah.
One person wants to know, what is the advantage of using LinkedIn Premium? Because I kind of looked at it and I wasn't sure whether to get it or not. What's the benefit of it?
So in general, like all the stuff that we've presented to you today is actually for free. So you can get a lot out of LinkedIn for free. Now, if you want to use LinkedIn specifically for a purpose, like you have your own business and you want to send more in-mails to people that you're not connected with to advertise for your business, then a premium membership can be useful because you can send more in-mails. If you're looking for a job at the moment, the premium membership, like the career premium, can be an advantage because you would actually get the salary insights. So what should this job roughly pay? How many people have applied for this job? And based on your skills, like are you in the top 10 or top 20% of the applicants? It just gives you more insights and you can reach out to more people. And then it also, so I was talking about the LinkedIn Learning courses earlier. LinkedIn Learning is included in the premium subscription, so you have access to all the learning courses that are out there. At the moment, we've made quite a lot for free, especially the most in-demand skills now during COVID for the hiring at the moment. But they wouldn't be for free. It's just now this situation. So you would get access to all those learning courses as well when you have the premium membership.
Okay, we've got 3 minutes to go. So our last question is, someone wants to know whether running a virtual book club can be highlighted as a transferable skill for their learning.
I think anything can be highlighted. I mean, the thought is like, what is the skill that this person got out of this running this virtual book club? They're more probably good in organizing events, in project management, things like that. Just think about what skill do you actually have from this, what skill do you bring into that, and based that you can add the skill and like prove it with this experience. That's what I would say.
Thank you very much, Gabby and Izim. So what we're going to do, everyone, we've recorded this session, and so we're going to send an email later on with the key pointers, and we're going to also include Gabby and Izim's LinkedIn connection there if you want to ask them more detailed questions. And in the future, we're hoping to have a CV session for anyone who wants help with their CV. And this would be hosted by a graduate recruitment person within the UK. But we're really grateful that you've all joined us, and we hope you've found it quite insightful. Please feel free to connect with us and let us know if you need any further support. Thank you, everyone.